The House will be in order. The Chair lays before the House a communication from the Speaker.
The Speaker's Rooms, Washington, D.C., February 9th, 2026. I hereby appoint the Honorable Adrian Smith to act as Speaker pro tempore on this day. Signed, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Pursuant to the order of the House of January 6, 2026, the Chair will now recognize members from lists submitted by the majority and minority leaders for morning hour debate. The Chair will alternate recognition between the parties, with time equally allocated between the parties and each member other than the majority and minority leaders and the minority whip, limited to 5 minutes. But in no event shall debate continue beyond 1:50 p.m. The Chair recognizes the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Subramaniam, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to honor the incredible life of Michael Thomas Sennett of Lovettsville, Virginia, a Marine, an engineer, a public servant, and a pillar of our community. Mike Sennett believed that service did not end with one role or one chapter in life. And after serving his country as a Marine during the Vietnam War, he devoted decades to strengthening the town he called home, Lovettsville. He served on the Town Planning Commission, the Town Council, and even as Vice Mayor, and he helped shape projects that will serve generations, from parks and memorials to safer streets and shared use paths. And others, including myself, know him also for his work in public safety. As a firefighter, EMT, instructor, and leader, Mike trained, mentored, and stood shoulder to shoulder with first responders, volunteers, and career people. He covered shifts, taught classes, and made sure that when help was needed, it could arrive safely and effectively. And while I didn't do my firefighter training under Mike Sennett, his wife, Tracy, was actually my EMT instructor. You didn't have to take one of his classes to know the incredible impact that Mike had. He raised the bar for instructors and trainees alike in our county, and his legacy lives on in all the people that he helped and who help others. And so on behalf of our community, we thank him for a lifetime of service, and we extend our deepest condolences to Tracy and the entire family, and to all who were proud to serve alongside him. Mr. Speaker, I'm proud to introduce the No Funds for Forced Labor Act, a bipartisan, bicameral bill to protect human rights and prevent forced labor of Uyghurs and other religious communities. A recent annual report by the Congressional Executive Commission on China found that authorities in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, quote, maintained a system of forced labor that involved former mass internment camp detainees. This comes while China has targeted Uyghurs and other religious minorities, threatening detainees with physical violence, abuse, and torture. And despite companies' due diligence, these forced labor networks can be so extensive that the World Bank's International Finance Corporation has financed companies who have inadvertently employed forced laborers in the region. This bill addresses that risk. It allows the Treasury Secretary to instruct the U.S. director at each international financial institution to oppose provisions of any loan that would risk using forced labor. So thank you to all of our co-sponsors. I encourage my colleagues to join us in supporting and advancing this bipartisan bill. Mr. Speaker, as we approach tax season across the country, I am becoming increasingly concerned with the IRS's capabilities to accurately and responsibly carry out the duty they have to American taxpayers. Americans will be relying on an agency to verify their tax returns and issue accurate refunds that has lost over a quarter of its staffing in the last year, with that number only growing. And every day, my office has a new constituent who reaches out wondering where their tax refund is from this past tax season, and that is only going to get worse as this new tax season begins. And one of the services available to taxpayers is the Taxpayer Advocate Services, which works closely with my office to return what taxpayers are rightly owed. And while TAS advocates work hard on these cases, it's apparent that they are already both backlogged and understaffed. Additional cuts to IRS funding will only exacerbate this issue. And to properly prepare for tax season, we should be increasing resources for services such as taxpayer advocates and making sure Americans feel like they can rely on the IRS to handle the process without delays or errors. From what my office has seen, this is not the case, and it must change right now. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program is one of the best ways we can attract top talent to work in the federal government and public service. Often, these employees will be making less money than in the private sector, but the loan forgiveness gives the government an advantage. So it's disappointing that we see people like public servants treated like this by making them wait years for public service loan forgiveness. This program promised student loan borrowers that after 10 years of public service, their debt would be forgiven, and yet under this administration, the PSLF processing has slowed to a crawl. For example, the PSLF buyback application, an essential step for many pursuing loan forgiveness, has more than 80,000 applications pending at the end of the year. That's 80,000. And for some borrowers, they've had their eligibility threatened due to petty political grievances. And there are consequences to this. Americans are delaying major life milestones, such as purchasing a home or starting a family, because they are still making payments on loans that they were assured would be forgiven. So let's be clear, the stagnation of PSLF is the direct result of the current administration's mismanagement. And I call on the administration to honor its promise to the people who have dedicated their careers to public service, who have rightfully sought loan forgiveness. Thank you, and I yield back.
The member yields back. The chair recognizes the member from Pennsylvania, Mr. Joyce, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to speak on the importance of the Save America Act, which will come to the House floor for a vote this week. At the heart of our democracy is a very simple promise. Every eligible citizen gets one vote, and every vote counts equally. That promise is only sustainable when the public has confidence in the system. The Save America Act is centered on an undisputable principle. U.S. elections are for U.S. citizens. This legislation will ensure that voter registration systems accurately reflect the law and that citizenship requirements are consistently enforced. By requiring a photo ID in federal elections, this congressional action will work to prevent fraud before it even starts. Supporting the Save America Act means promising every voter that their voice matters and that their vote will not be diluted. This action signals a long overdue step towards election integrity and will preserve the strength and the security of our democratic system for generations to come. Very simply, our democracy is worth protecting, and by passing and enacting the Save America Act, we in Congress can ensure our constituents that their vote will count. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to congratulate Johnstown native Dan Barefoot on earning a spot on the U.S. Olympic team. This week, Dan will compete in the Milano Cortina Winter Games, representing our nation on the world stage. A graduate of Richland High School and Penn State, Dan will compete in the skeleton competition, which is scheduled for Thursday, February 12th. Dan's 10-year pursuit of a spot on the Olympic team began with a Google search related to which Olympic-style sport a novice could train for later in life. After what he describes as the singular most incredible and challenging journey of his life, Dan has reached the pinnacle of his sport. Pennsylvania's 13th Congressional District is incredibly proud to support Dan as he represents our community and our country on the Olympics. Once again, congratulations to Dan and to his parents, Barry and Rebecca, on this extraordinary accomplishment, and best wishes for the gold at the Winter Games. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
Member yields back. The chair now recognizes the member from Ohio.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to recognize Carl and Nancy Schneider. Carl and Nancy taught music in Southern Ohio for 43 years before retiring at the end of the 2025 school year, leaving an indelible mark on the arts in Ohio's 2nd Congressional District. Carl served as a band director at West Union High School, the choir director at Manchester briefly, and later as music supervisor across the whole school district. Carl built West Union's marching band from the ground up, starting out with only 13 students and ultimately taking the program to the state and national level. He led musicals, ensembles, and challenged students to become the best they could be. Having taught at several schools and across all grade levels, Nancy touched the lives of countless elementary students and gave them the skills and encouragement needed to pursue their love of music. Beyond the classroom, Nancy is an amazing musician herself, serving as the pianist for her church and previously performing at county festivals. In retirement, she is looking forward to spending time with her first grandchild, continuing to stay involved with music at schools across Southern Ohio. Teachers like Carl and Nancy Schneider represent the best America has to offer. They are the quiet heroes who made a difference in the lives of countless students. Our educators deserve the highest level of respect and should be recognized for the amazing work they do. Carl and Nancy, congratulations on retirement, and thank you for your service to our young people. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize the Waverly High School Marching Band. The Waverly Band recently had the opportunity to travel to Hawaii and play in the Pearl Harbor Memorial Day Parade. This parade is an annual event that honors veterans, survivors of the Pearl Harbor attack, and the men and women who are actively serving in our incredible armed forces. As part of the ceremonies, the Waverly Band played on the dock of the USS Missouri, which is an Iowa-class battleship used by the Navy in the 1940s. More than 140 members of the Waverly community participated in this trip, including students, parents, and support staff. This opportunity was particularly special because of the deep military roots in many of the band members' families. We are forever grateful for those who serve in our armed forces and the millions of Americans who fought World War II to preserve our freedoms. To the Waverly High School Band, thank you for the great lengths you went to in order to honor our nation's heroes. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize the Claremont County Chamber of Commerce. The Claremont Chamber recently earned a 5-star accreditation from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce for its positive impact on the community. Ohio's 2nd Congressional District has been ground zero for the problems of facing rural America. For too long, communities like the ones I represent have been forgotten about at the federal level. However, thanks to the work of community organizations like the Claremont County Chamber, Ohio's 2nd Congressional District is making a comeback. The Claremont Chamber is an integral part of local economic development projects and supports businesses of all sizes. Their work is helping to build a community where Ohioans can achieve the American dream. Economic development remains one of my top priorities for Congress, and I look forward to continuing to work with the Claremont County Chamber on projects that make a difference in Southern Ohio. Congratulations to the Claremont County Chamber on their commendable achievement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back.
Member yields back. The chair now recognizes the member from Arkansas, Representative Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to congratulate President Robert Arrington on his recent selection to lead Arkansas's Development Finance Authority. President Arrington succeeds Mark Conang, who served the authority from May of 21 until his departure in 2025. President Arrington has worked at the authority since 2014 and was previously Vice President of Home Ownership and Public Finance. ADFA was established by then Governor Clinton in 1985 to promote economic development and community development across Arkansas. President Arrington is a former municipal securities principal with over 25 years of public finance experience and is a graduate of the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville. Mr. Speaker, I congratulate President Arrington on his selection and wish him many years of success to the great state of Arkansas. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize the recent celebration of the 100th anniversary of Petit-Jean State Park, a landmark of natural beauty and historic significance in central Arkansas. Established in 1923 and dedicated in 1925, Petit-Jean was Arkansas's first state park and helped inspire and initiate the entire Arkansas State Park system. The Civilian Conservation Corps later built many of the enduring features, including cabins, trails, and historic Mather Lodge. For a century, families have enjoyed its scenic overlooks, hiking trails, Cedar Falls, and the landscape. Mr. Speaker, I congratulate Petit-Jean State Park on its centennial, its enhancement of the beauty of the natural state, and I thank the many state park rangers and related staff for all of their contributions to conservation, recreation, and enjoyment in the natural state. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize the outstanding patriotism of Arkansas's 2nd Congressional District, which was the highest producing district for Arkansas National Guard enlistments in fiscal FY25. Our district led the state in Army National Guard recruitment, contributing 314 new soldiers and accounted for 47% of all Air National Guard recruits statewide. In total, the 2nd District produced 351 enlistments in 2025, surpassing any other congressional district in the state. These young men and women have chosen a path of duty, sacrifice, and leadership. Their decision to serve reflects on the strong values of Central Arkansas and the deep respect our communities all hold for our nation, its defense, and the men and women who wear the uniform. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize Dr. Linda Jackson. Last year, Ms. Jackson was honored with the Outstanding Alumna of 2025 Award from the University of Arkansas Community College at Morrilton. This incredible woman overcame life's toughest challenges and hardships, experiencing extreme poverty at a young age, forced to drop out of school in the 8th grade to take care of her disabled brother. Despite this, Mr. Speaker, she earned her Associate of Science and Associate of Arts degrees at the University of Arkansas Community College at Morrilton in 2014 at age 33. She continued her education, earning 7 more degrees after leaving UACCM, balancing her time between her studies and raising her 10 children. In 2025, she passed the state board exam for the credential of Family Nurse Practitioner. Ms. Jackson's story is a story of hard work, perseverance, determination, and triumph. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize my good friend Doug Zollner, dedicated advocate for the natural state. After 3 decades of being a mentor, leader, and giant in the world of conservation, Doug has decided to retire from the Nature Conservancy offices in Arkansas. Doug's efforts and expertise in conservation have enriched our state. Doug's leadership helped drive more than $30 million in public funding to Arkansas for forest management. And he co-founded the Fire Learning Network, a national collaboration of fire practitioners helping 14 countries around the world. Just last year, he visited Tanzania to share fire and forest management strategies and tour Kativa National Park. Congratulations to Doug for his dedication to conservation, to the Nature Conservancy, and to forest management practices. I wish him the very best in retirement. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The chair recognizes the member from Texas, Representative Luttrell, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise to recognize a group of young Americans whose achievement reflects the very best of our communities, our schools, and our future. For the first time in history, the Magnolia Junior High 7th grade basketball team completed a season as undefeated district champions, finishing with a perfect 10-0 record. 10 games, 10 victories, 0 losses. That accomplishment alone is remarkable. But what makes this team truly special is not just that they won, it's how they won. Game after game, these young men represented Magnolia Junior High with discipline, respect, teamwork, and integrity. They showed us what it means to compete with character. This team averaged 61 points per game while holding opponents just to 40. That is excellence on both ends of the court, offense and defense. But perhaps even more impressive, not one player fouled out all season. Not a single technical foul was issued. That tells us something important. It tells us these students played with maturity beyond their years. They respected the officials, they respected their opponents, and they respected the game. That is leadership, that is discipline, that is sportsmanship. Those are the values we want to see in every classroom, every community, and every generation. Every championship team has leaders. This season, Mason Houston helped set the tone, averaging an outstanding 36.5 points per game. His dedication, his effort, and competitive spirit lifted the entire team. But championships are never won by one player. They are built by teammates who trust one another, who sacrifice for one another, who hold each other accountable, and who work together toward a shared goal. That is exactly what this team did. And today we recognize the young men who made history. Beckett Albee, Daniel Alonzo, Jace Baker, Caleb Gooch, Donnell Hartley, Mason Houston, Brody Kehoe, Tucker Kowalski, Carter Shepard, Evan Shepard, and Griffin Spires. These students remind us that excellence is built on one practice, one game, and one decision at a time. This success would not have been possible without outstanding leadership. I want to recognize 7th grade coaches Taylor Souders, Tim Stewart, and Joseph Waddle, along with head coaches Christopher May, assistant coach Jim Barber, campus athletic coordinator Brian Vanghouse, principal David Slater, and district athletic director J.D. Berna. These educators and mentors do far more than coach basketball. They teach responsibility, they teach perseverance, and they teach young people how to lead. They are helping shape citizens, leaders, and future public servants. To the players, years from now, people may remember the undefeated record. They may remember the scoring averages. They may remember the championship. But what matters most is what you learned along the way. You learned discipline, you learned teamwork, and you learned accountability. You learned how to believe in yourself and each other. Those lessons will serve you long after the final buzzer sounds. They will serve you in your academics, they will serve you in college, they will serve you in your careers, and they will serve you in life. Mr. Speaker, at a time when our nation is focused on preparing the next generation for leadership, service, and success, this team stands as a powerful example of what happens when students are supported, challenged, and inspired. They didn't just win games, they represented their school, their families, and their community with honor. They made history, and they made Magnolia proud. Congratulations to the Magnolia Junior High 7th grade boys basketball team, the 25-26 undefeated district champions. May their example continue to inspire us all. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Member yields back. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the chair declares the House in recess until 2 p.m. today.
The House will be in order. The prayer will be offered by Chaplain Kibben.
Would you pray with me? Loving God, how is it that we are so graced to enjoy each day the embrace of your everlasting arms? There is not a day that goes by that you do not provide us, if we have ears to hear and eyes to see, evidence of your steadfast love and kindness. Though there is much in this world, in our lives, and even in our own minds that seeks to convince us otherwise, nothing can overshadow or separate us from your unconditional and unwavering devotion to each person. Your love is invincible, even in the face of danger and death. Many waters cannot quench it. Torrents of rain or any reign of terror cannot extinguish it. Neither our fears for today nor our worries about tomorrow, not even the powers of hell, can conquer your insurmountable love for us. May we trust in your boundless compassion and live this day believing that we are called, in response to your grace and mercy, to be worthy reflections of your redeeming love. In your sovereign name we pray. Amen.
The chair has examined the journal of the last day's proceeding and announces to the House the approval thereof. Pursuant to Clause 1 of Rule 1, the journal stands approved. The Pledge of Allegiance will now be led by the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Wilson.
Everyone, including guests in the gallery, will please join in.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The chair will now entertain requests for 1-minute speeches. First, does the gentleman from South Carolina seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman from South Carolina is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Led by House Republicans with Speaker Mike Johnson, President Donald Trump has signed the Working Families Tax Cuts Act into law. As a result, the tax code will be simplified for 90% of families, turning tax season of dread into a season of historic relief. Families will pay no taxes on the first $31,500 earned. As these tax credits are retroactive to 2025, the average refund is projected to increase by $1,000, with a total of $91 billion of additional refunds to return to American families this spring, allowing hardworking families to keep their own money. In conclusion, God bless our troops as the global war on terrorism continues. Trump is reinstituting peace through strength, revealing war criminal Putin lies, insulting Trump, mocking Trump, attacking civilian utilities in Ukraine to freeze the Ukrainians to death as Stalin starved Ukrainians to death. As Americans endure freezing temperatures, war criminal Putin is murderously destroying the infrastructure of Ukraine, freezing Ukrainians now at the incredibly disgusting situation of no electricity, no heat, no water, betraying a pledge by war criminal Putin that he would not destroy the utilities. And this is the people of Ukraine are facing temperature at 4 degrees and freezing to death by war criminal Putin. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back the balance of his time. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.